It's absolutely worth checking out. In fact, honestly, every film that we've talked about today, Marty Supreme, The Secret Agent, No Other Choice, Blue Moon, Song Sung Blue, Sirat, The Smashing Machine, and Dead Man's Wire, they all offer something. There were none that I regret seeing except for Marty Supreme. Okay, so... Welcome back to another episode of Do You See What I Mean? And Mia, we would love to do a full episode on every single film that was nominated for a
that's not true, Joey.
Academy Award.
We did not.
Oh, no, you're right. Wicked 2 was never on the list.
Wait, stop him. Stop him.
Right. No, it's an
nothing
excellent
else to say.
And that's part of what we're going to talk about today, Mia. We're going to talk about some films that are not the one battles, they're not the sinners, they're not the Hamnets. These are kind of, the other films that may not be as seen. And if you're not at the movies like you and I are every week, Mia, you might be wondering, what else should I see except for that top 10? That's what we're going to talk about today. But I love that you led into that, because all of us, you, me, all of us, we all have criteria. What are you going to go to opening day on? What are you going to make sure to see in theater? What can you wait for streaming? And what are you not only going to wait for streaming, you skip it and will only watch it if a friend recommends it. Talk to me about a little bit about your criteria of how you watch.
I don't know. I think because time is money, I consider my time an investment already. So if I'm watching your movie, that means I did make an investment in it, okay?
Right.
But I'm not ready to buy the popcorn and
not doing the whole thing.
The $20 popcorn and the $15 water and a ticket. I'm not doing that for every movie. Like, that's a big investment. And so for me, it's all about selling me. I'm a very...
Yep.
Listen, I think we all are somewhat selfish viewers.
I'm selfless in every way.
No, we all are. We all have our interests.
No, I know what you mean,
the
of
stuff
course.
that's like hitting me and is like representing me or giving me that that food for thought. It's like I feel like I'm promised change when I walk out of the theater.
Totally.
Those
I know
are the
what
movies
you mean.
I see on opening night.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
But anything else, opening week is still as good to me.
Yep.
Right. And
Yep.
then anything after that, those are movies that, quite frankly, I need some discounts. I need to see
Tuesday matinees pricing. Yeah,
I
sure.
need to see a discount. I also have some movies that, quite frankly, I really couldn't give a shit about.
Sure.
But I go see it with friends because some movies are fun experiences just for friends.
Totally.
And
like Send Help.
Yes, I don't shy away from.
Right.
Okay. And I'll do a friend experience for the movie theater. Except for, oh my God, when you go see a movie with a friend and they don't even remember seeing it with you like a year later. They're like, who did I see that with? And you're like,
I do that constantly. I texted my friend Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Shout out. I texted her, Mia, after our conversation. I said, hey, did you see Marty Supreme? And she said,
Joey,
yes,
no.
with you at the Baby Day show.
Yes, Joey. Even I know this.
I mean, fuck me.
I'm sorry. I remember all the movies and who I see them with.
So since high school, I have had a rule that I do not save movies. And even to you as we podcast together, if you and I say, let's go see Avatar on Tuesday, and if you call me Tuesday and say, I actually saw it this weekend, I'll be like, good for you. Autonomy, freedom. But my criteria is a little bit different. So listener, just if you're curious, Mia and I have monthly subscriptions to the Alamo Draft House. They're about $25. And I also have one to AMC. You don't have AMC,
No,
right?
I do not.
Now, Alamo will show what AMC plays, but AMC won't always show what Alamo plays. I go to AMC with Michael. That's about once a month. I go to Alamo with Mia and on my own. So just if you're curious, listeners, we both see 1 or 2 movies a week in theaters. And then we see a lot at home. I will never mention the number of movies that I watch every week. How dare you laugh?
No, honestly, I'm impressed because most of us are on TV shows. Like, it's like, I've been, streaming shows all the time.
Not like you're starring in a TV show.
So the person who's seeing all of these movies, I'm like, okay, that speaks volumes about your willingness to invest your time.
So my criteria is not too dissimilar from yours. Personal interest, of course, favorite director. I'll see a Martin Scorsese film on the first day, regardless of how it looks.
Yeah.
Something like Avatar, that's what I call participation. So when you and I text and I said, I wasn't interested in this film, but I wanted to participate, meaning when I listen to podcasts or talk to other people, I want to have seen the film so that I can, we're just going to pause here for a second, It's really charming, the old heating, but it does, it's kind of clanky.
I'm so sorry. I thought
No, it's okay.
It was water coming down.
Because that's what happens at your home. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So I was freaking out a little bit, and I was like,
right.
But I love that it's the heater. Let's continue.
There's also a special category, which is the friend category. So Mia went to see Song Sung Blue, which I think has suffered from bad PR, but it features an incredible performance by Kate Hudson. Hello, Oscar nomination. I skipped it. I was like, I don't really like Neil Diamond. So Mia saw that, and she said, there's something special to this. You might want to see it. Likewise, I can alert Mia if there's something, for instance, Marty Supreme. I didn't like it, but I said, hey, go participate in it. And then you did.
Yes, he wanted to take out revenge on me. And so I have decided if Joey sees the movie before I do and it's not my favorite movie, I will always send him a message of like, when did you stop loving me?
Why did you do this to me?
Why are you angry at me?
Yep.
Like this, I would never do this to you.
I would never do this to you.
I would never do this to you.
And that brings us to the very first film of our list, which includes, listener, we're just going to list it right now in case you're interested in these films. Marty Supreme, The Secret Agent, No Other Choice, Blue Moon, Song Sung Blue, Sirat, The Smashing Machine, and Dead Man's Wire. For each of these, Mia or I will take the lead, and the other person will chime in. So the first one is one of the International Best Picture nominations. It's out of Brazil. It is called The Secret Agent. It's by director Kleber Mendonça Filho. We're going to pretend that I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's about kind of dictatorship-era Brazil. Same setting as last year's winner, I'm Still Here, with that famous actress whose name I should know. And it's long. So, Mia, this is a long one. This is 2 hours, 45 minutes maybe. And it's about this kind of ex-professor, academic, who is being targeted by this fascist regime through corporations. And this is in Recife. This is not in Rio. This is in kind of a different, maybe potentially lower income city. And it just features a great ensemble cast, beautiful Portuguese, awesome music. And it's also a whodunit. It's also a tribute to Jaws. It also features Tânia Maria, who is in her 80s or 90s. She's a wonderful Portuguese actress. She almost got a nomination. So, Mia, this is a favorite for the international one. I loved it. I will say it's on the slower side. I don't know if I was awake for like the entire thing, but it's very good. But remind me what you thought. I can't remember what you thought. Remind me what you thought.
Okay, so for me, we've talked about this in terms of the Oscars, and when they put in this like best casting or a casting award, this movie like sung out for me. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was colorful. I thought it was mysterious. I thought it felt. I loved the period of it.
Great period.
I loved the acting. I thought it went great. It was
we
a
should
little
say
slower in a way that I was like,
yeah.
I think this was more about the day I went to go see it and the time that I went to go see it over what I was seeing. But it was lovely. It was lovely.
We should say, by the way, you mentioned casting. The lead, who is nominated for Best Actor, is Wagner Moura, whom most folks will know from Netflix's Narcos. I didn't see it, but did you play Escobar? I assume you did.
Okay, I remember the first season of Narcos, and it was a different cast, and then when Narcos continued, it became like a whole different group. So I think this is like a second season lead guy.
I see.
But
right.
Listen, you're going to email us when we mess up or we get it wrong. You're just going to say, hey guys,
Mia
that's
at
not
Gmail.
true.
MIA. We're going to talk about the next film, Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice, right after this. All right, welcome back. Now we're talking about Master Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice. This is the class struggle drama about a lead who has worked at a paper company for 2 or 3 decades. An American conglomerate buys the company. He's out of work. There's a lot going on right now in the job market, Mia. I'm not going to sing my sob story, but I've struggled with jobs in the last couple of years. And this guy has this house, and he has the wife, and he has the golden retriever. The house is amazing. That's an architectural marvel in Seoul. And what he does, Mia, this is sort of like LinkedIn Black Mirror. He finds all the jobs that are available for exactly his role, and then he eventually learns who the candidates are.
Yes.
And he starts to take them out. Or
Yes.
that is the plan. We won't
Yes.
tell you, listener. We're not going to spoil No Other Choice, but Park Chan-wook is from Stoker. He's from Snowpiercer. He's from the Old Boy trilogy. He's from The Handmaiden. Seek out his filmography. Mia, I would say this is not his best. It is hilarious. There's a lot of great technical achievement. A camera is put on
really
a beer stein, on a mortgage notice, on a mailbox, on a person going into the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really fun.
Even the scenes where there's a bit of murder and mayhem,
Totally.
it is quite, it almost reads like this is probably what it would be like if somebody was getting murdered in a house. Very clumsy, very chaotic, very, oh, wait, my gun's back there and I need to stop her here. Like, there's a vibe to it that's really, it like the juxtaposition of like how beautiful the film looks and then how like chaotic and clumsy some of the character and scenes are blocking is. It's funny. It makes it
funny.
feel like you're on a ride.
And that's where it's different from Bong Joon-ho's Parasite a couple of years ago, but I mention it because it's kind of in that world. Modern, wealthy people, what happens if you have to slide down a couple of class rungs? What would you give up first? Would you sell your furniture? Would you have to sell your house? This film really gets into that.
Well, it was funny, too, because I remember reading somewhere there's different Myers-Briggs, and some countries are very big on Myers-Briggs and what your actual makeup is. So if you're E, F, G, H, you know, but it's also like there's certain Myers-Briggs that they're like, we don't, like, they don't get hired often in those countries.
Sure.
Mine is one of them.
Oh my God.
So
awesome.
when I was watching these characters in the film and they're in these support groups and they're going like, this is not my fault. I did not do this. I was laughing so much because I was like, oh my God, like, I think if I lived in this country, I'd be that person. They're like, you're not strong enough. We're not going to hire you.
That's right.
You know, you're not mean enough, or you're not like, you know, hard. But I was like, these guys seem a little E and F, you know, got the feeling and got the introversion, and it's cute. It was very cute.
It is. And it makes me even think of Kurosawa's 1962 High and Low, which Spike Lee remade last year, because you spend time in these wealthy, nice places, but the film doesn't forget the classes of, you know, real citizens who are, you know, different than that. So I would say, you know, it didn't get a Best International Feature nomination, which is a bummer. It got, I'm trying to think what it was nominated for, maybe screenplay. Do seek this film out if you like Park Chan-wook. We are going to bounce along to our next feature. All right, folks, the next two are by the two Safdie brothers. So Josh and Benny Safdie are a brother duo, and they have made films like Good Time with Robert Pattinson and Uncut Gems, the most stressful film I've probably ever seen with Adam Sandler. They have split up momentarily, kind of like the Coen brothers did, and done their own thing.
Right. Josh
Safdie, so folks, if you know the internet, he's the one that looks homeless, did Marty Supreme, extremely stressful. And then, I know I'm an asshole, but Benny, who has seen a bathroom and a grooming regimen, directed The Smashing Machine, which is actually very slow, and even though it has some UFC violence, it's actually a pretty calm film. So anyway, Marty Supreme, Mia, talk to me.
Okay, so the two films, I see the styles. I see how they could be kind of connected, but I did prefer the period element of Smashing Machine over Marty Supreme. But I saw Marty Supreme and, y'all. Okay, first off, here's my thing. I do think Mr. Timothy is a good actor, but I do feel like for this film, he just looks so young to me.
He does.
And I had
like a baby.
such a hard time with like trying to accept like what age he was, especially as he was interacting with people much older. So there was this tone of it where he just seems... we talk about this. He's very unlikable, but he just seems very disrespectful in this way and very unyielding, which obviously is supposed to be his personality and what really carries the film forward. But I'm going to tell you, this one was a no for me. This one, listen, if it wasn't for some of the music, I probably wouldn't have been able to carry on.
Okay, so the music is bifurcated. It's got a composed score for half of it, but it also features a lot of 80s synth pop.
Yeah.
And by the way, the film is set in 1952. So you like the music. That
Can I
works
tell
for
you, it kept me feeling like, okay,
right.
this is cooler than it is. Like, even when they were playing it, I was like, this is boring. This is not as, like, feeling as relevant. I kept trying to think of, what's the game everybody's playing now? I'm so sorry. Not
the Bible?
They're playing the Bible. No, not the tennis,
Monopoly.
but they're playing, what do you call it? Pickle. So I was like,
Pickleball.
okay, is this for people who love pickleball? Like,
because of the table tennis?
Yes, and I was like, maybe this is what this is going to capture is this huge growing audience of like very intense and enthusiastic non-tennis playing people.
Right.
But here's a version of pickleball.
Yep.
But here's the thing, pickleball or not, I really didn't care. Hell, I didn't care when it was a Jamaican bobsled team. I don't care about the sport. I care about the heart behind the characters who are playing the sport.
The sport.
And this guy is all intensity, but there is no like human vulnerability, or it's like he clearly wants to win, but for what? I mean, what is your real aim in life? Where does this go? And it's almost like he can't see past that, and it makes his character look very, how do I say, it's not just unrelatable, but it's mostly just like, I don't know why I care about what's fixing to happen to you. I was looking forward to somebody showing up out of nowhere, kicking this kid's ass. Yeah. Or, it became one of those, we were talking about this, I'm like, it felt like a cartoon.
It's very one note. And just to help out folks who haven't seen it, this centers on a 20-something Jewish guy, 1952, Lower East Side. By the way, Mia, the production design is done by the legendary Jack Fisk, who might be the best in the industry. He did Killers of the Flower Moon and films since the 70s. He's married to Sissy Spacek. And it's about this hustler who lives with his family in a tenement, and he works at his uncle's shoe store. He's gotten this girl pregnant. She's with somebody else. A lot of people say that he's very charming and charismatic, but I didn't find him charming. I didn't find Adam Sandler charming. I think that these guys, the Safdie brothers, they like stressful cinema. This character, Marty, is obnoxious, self-centered, deceitful, betraying, annoying. For me, it was like being stuck in an elevator for 2 hours with the most annoying person I've ever met. There's no redemption. I was there with my friend Rachel, as I mentioned.
You remember? You remember Rachel? Jesus, she was there too, and she was ready to go too.
but I probably would have walked out. But this movie is so buzzy, and honestly, he's the front runner to win. That this is a participation movie for me.
It was okay when you first told me about it, and you were like, "I don't like him, and I didn't like this, and I didn't like that." That wasn't enough for me. I was like, okay, maybe Joey didn't like him, but let me see what I like.
Yeah,
and. I've seen characters like him before, and that's why I was like, I don't know if it was the age, I don't know if it was the script. We had talked about this, but I'm like, Michael Keaton used to play this type of energetic and do whatever it takes, even if I gotta lie for a minute to get it done, because this is what I want. He used to play this character all the time, and he did it with a certain type of charm. I don't know if it was age that helped as well, and just sort of life experience, but there's something about the actor in this script. I was like, I know this type of story. It's not the type of story. Yeah. It's not the sport. It isn't the music. It fell short because someone couldn't figure out how to write any heart into it. And it fell short because you don't have an actor who's going to over-interject over the people creating the film. Like where as an actor do you go, like this isn't making sense, or why am I doing this? Or you know what I mean? And that was not that. It's like, you can lie as an actor. You can be a liar. That's fine. But I need to understand, do you know you're lying? And that if you don't know you're lying, okay, then maybe you're crazy.
Yep.
That's Anora. We watched Anora. Actress is from Anora. we watched that film. She's very annoying. She is
Highly.
very much like gifted
When
in
that
her
movie
life.
started, I thought, oh my God, is that
But
how she's going to
was
talk this whole time?
charming for it. I carried
and she was
for
true
it.
to herself, and she had
Yeah.
more than one dimension. Marty does not.
It
He's
does
despicable
not.
to women. He's race. He just. So, folks, I would say, a lot of people like this movie. The production design is great. I found it very annoying.
There's no need for it to win an award.
I agree.
And I totally understand what nominating these films are all about, but quite frankly, this is not the type. If these guys, the Safdie brothers are making all these movies and they're really hot, you'll have something better that comes along.
Yeah.
This is not the one to take an Oscar home for. Trust me, you got another good idea somewhere.
I agree, and I think that he's talented. His brother Benny is talented.
Yeah.
And, back to that parting of ways, it's really interesting how they approached their different projects. So back when the Coen brothers parted ways, one did Macbeth, remember that? The Denzel Macbeth?
Oh, yeah.
And then the other is in this lesbian trilogy with Honey Don't and Drive Away Dolls, and that's very interesting and that's cool. So what we have here is that Josh's brother Benny, by the way, if you know Oppenheimer, Benny Safdie is in that film. He plays a guy with an accent, clean shaven. Anyway, so this film that Benny did is called The Smashing Machine, and it is about the real life early MMA fighter named Mark Kerr, Kerr. So there's a documentary about this story, and this film that Benny Safdie did came after the documentary. So these are big, beefy fighters. This is MMA. This is pre-UFC. They're fighting in the U.S. They're fighting in Japan. And The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, whom I love, is proving his dramatic chops. And he plays a, kind of addiction recovering fighter. He got addicted to opioids, which is, we were talking about today's the Super Bowl, folks. I mean, what do veterans of the NFL face with concussions and knee replacements? And, these are big, bulky guys. This film, compared to Marty, is quiet and soft. And my favorite part about it, Mia, was watching Dwayne Johnson carry that rack of meat that he is, and outside the ring, you never see him use it. And sometimes you're in the ring and he's fighting with men, and outside of the ring, he's fighting with Emily Blunt. So, did this all work for you?
I thought, so this movie for me, the storyline gets a little lost, and I personally think it has to do with its subject, and probably I watched a documentary that had a similar issue where the kids didn't want the parents to be poorly portrayed, so they kind of asked the filmmakers, could you please not include certain things, and it makes the stories always fall flat. In this film, I did feel like it suffered from that issue of wanting to respect the people that you're depicting. You want to be as fair and honest, but you're not trying to create life's problems for them. You just want to tell their story. But it needed a story, and there were some things. It was pretty
light on story.
Yeah, it was one of those films that, quite frankly, I started to pick up on in the first 10 minutes what the conflict was. But I remember thinking, most people are not me. But here's the thing. First scene, no spoiler, guys. Watch first 5 minutes. He's at the doctor's office. Yep. And nobody is really bothering him, but they're staring because he's been in a fight and he clearly has a busted look. And he's literally drawing attention to himself. And he's just like, no, I'm a fighter. Oh, no, and he's just talking with the people in the waiting room. And the more I watched him, I was like, yo, Dwayne Johnson really kills in this role. This is amazing. A complete personality makeover. But the guy came off right off the bat incredibly controlling, very much trying to control the narrative of how he's seen, how he's portrayed. You watch for the next 15 to 20 minutes as he's doing interview, that same type of control. And Dwayne Johnson seems like he believes himself and he's bought into it. And at that point, I was like, you know what, this guy, I personally think this was a nominated situation. He should have been nominated for a Best Actor in this role.
I agree.
The problem is the story. By the time they keep telling the story, which ultimately it goes into mental health issues and challenges.
In their relationship. Difficult.
Yes. So there was a scene where they kind of start having it out in one of his earlier fights.
Yeah.
And as soon as she shows up, I remember thinking, okay, I know this character. I know what's going on with this character. this is a movie, but I also knew most of the audience does not understand exactly what's happening here.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, they did too much work to try to protect your subjects. And quite frankly, they needed to tell us a very clear story.
That's an excellent point. The subject, Mark Kerr, was a consultant on the film. So you're right. It was a bit hobbled by its inclusion of the real-life character. But it is full of gentle moments. I mean, half the time you're watching The Rock and this blonde guy who is a UFC fighter who's a non-actor. Their scenes together are beautiful and they're tender and they have an actual goal.
Yeah.
This is this podcast's choice for the Safdie brothers from last year. It was not nominated. No, it was nominated for hair and makeup. But Marty Supreme sucked all the air out of the room. But we recommend The Smashing Machine. We've got 4 more films: Sirat, Dead Man's Wire, Blue Moon, and Song Sung Blue coming up right after this. And Mia, next we are heading to the deserts of South Morocco for the Arabically titled... Arabically? No, that's
so rude.
Yeah, that's not... You just say Frenchly or like Chinese.
Arabically.
Wow, this is a fail. Welcome back. We're talking about Sirat next. So Mia, this is the sort of enigmatic sleeper hit of the Oscars. It has a couple nominations, including score. By the way, folks, we're going to be talking on our next episode about Oscar-nominated film scores. And we're going to go into Sirat and 4 or 5 others. So anyway, Mia, this is directed by a French Algerian who now lives in Spain. So I believe this is a Spanish entry. It is about rave culture, off-the-grid rave culture. I'm not talking about the stuff that I went to with my sister and her wife in Amsterdam, these kind of established techno clubs. We're talking about you get on a bus and you drive 5 hours and you have, generator-powered speakers and you are at a rave in the desert. So it's like Burning Man, but not commercial and not accessible, really. But you're going to hear French, you'll hear Arabic, English, Spanish. The word Sirat is Arabic for path or bridge, and I think it's from a poem. It's the thread between heaven and hell. And so the premise is super simple, not a lot of dialogue. A dad and a brother are looking for their daughter/sister who has been at these raves for months, and they haven't heard from her in like 5 or 6 months. They're taking flyers. They're going, they're walking around. Have you seen this girl? Everyone's like, nope, haven't seen her. Nope, haven't seen her. Then some type of political military event happens where the military shows up and everybody has to scatter. And there's stuff on the radio like society's kind of falling apart.
And that's when you realize this is not Burning Man. This is just, this is literally,
the man half burnt.
This is just like a party happening in the desert and they getting busted.
So the father and the son meet this ragtag group. By the way, half this film is with non-actors. These are kind of real rave folks. And the director, Oliver Lax, attended a lot of these raves, and part of it kind of, I don't know if I would say celebrates that culture, but at least documents that culture. Yeah. A couple of these folks say, your daughter might be at this other thing. They call it a do, like where's the next do? So they go off-road, they don't follow the military, and I think the way that I've thought about this, Mia, is that it's kind of a descent into hell. There's a lowering effect. These are the mountains and deserts of Morocco.
That's right, guys, it's hot.
It's very hot.
The
other notable thing, before I ask you your reaction, is the soundtrack. So the soundtrack is a version of techno called drone techno, and also ambient and electronic techno, by an artist named Kang Ding Ray. He is French, but he operates in Berlin. He's known for doing experimental techno. He does stuff in clubs. So this is rave music. One of the characters says, you don't listen to it, you dance to it.
Right.
But half the soundtrack is not that heavy rave music. It's beautiful, lush, ambient electronic music. It is my second favorite score next to Sinners. So this is a bit of a different one, but what did you think of Sirat?
Okay, so I'm going to be honest, audience, because I'm supposed to be honest. I did not get through this one. The music is the draw-in, though.
It is.
So when I hear you say that, I'm like, that I got through half the movie, and the draw-in was the music, it was the dance, it was watching these people dance, have a good time. But it's not your. We were talking about this at the start of this episode. Like, do I go to the movie theaters to see this? Do I watch this at home?
Yeah.
Please don't watch this with commercial breaks, y'all.
No.
If you put this movie on and you have commercial breaks, you should just give it up now.
You're gonna miss something.
You're not gonna enjoy it. But if you are like, hey, I have a subscription to this and it comes on, this movie has some artistic movement. I really did enjoy it when I saw it.
It's pretty conceptual. It is a piece of art. The reason why I love it is because it really marries the sound and the picture, which, if you think about it, are the two foundational pillars of cinema. Because if it's just the moving picture, that was silent film, and just the music, then that's
But you're going to start this movie and you're going to almost wonder, is it a movie or are they doing some kind of a documentary? Are we watching them set up a concert?
It's kind of docufiction.
Are we, so there's an element to this film that's got a lot of interesting components that once you start to get to, I guess, halfway through where I got to, then you start to realize there is a drama, there is some sort of there are stakes. So,
but listener, you really got to stick through to the end. The first 45 minutes, they get a little bit flat, and then something happens around 45 minutes in, and the movie changes. And so you and Mia have got to go out and see the rest of this film, because it just keeps descending and it keeps descending and it goes in unusual places, and then there's a beautiful final scene with the beautiful track by Ray called Les Marches.
Are we dancing at the end of this, Joey?
Definitely not. No.
Okay.
This is bleak, folks. We'll be honest. We don't want to spoil it, but it is bleak, but in a different way than the documentaries. Our next film is Dead Man's Wire. Mia, tell us about this one.
Okay, so this was Gus Van Sant, and I was like, wait, when was the last time he did a movie? I couldn't remember, so I was like...
What is it even?
I think he did something... He did a few things, but when you think about, like, big films that you're, like, rushing out to go see, I... mostly remember he did like The Sea of Trees, which I think is like a film with Matthew McConaughey. Isn't Matthew McConaughey in it?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's done some interesting like dark mysteries, but what you might remember is films like Milk. Right?
The
story. Yeah, you remember Good Will Hunting.
Yes.
He likes to do films with like underdogs and that kind of. Not underdogs. It's more of like that guy on the wrong side of the fence, like that outsider. He likes to tell that the story of how outsiders have to engage with the real world and how frustrating that can get. So you have that with, obviously Good Will Hunting. You see this sort of that's the battle, man versus himself. In some ways, but
and this one is kind of man versus system. So it's a guy who is angry at his bank, right?
You say that, but it's still man versus himself. He goes in. Okay, so he wants to. He took out a mortgage. Okay. And this mortgage was. It's like you remember the 2009 housing crisis.
Yeah,
it's like that vibe where you're getting mortgages for your property that the bank. Kind of understands that it's making their biggest profit off of you, but you're in the losing seat. And so, anyways, he gets very upset with this. He decides to take some hostages or hostage and takes the guy all the way back to his pre-planned, pre-readied apartment and starts making demands. And the demands are not crazy. He's not wanting $1 million. Y'all, he doesn't want a bus. And he doesn't want a plane. Oh, like that Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah.
Yep, that's not what's going on here. He wants an apology. He wants a heartfelt apology. Yeah. He wants to be treated like a man again.
Wait, and who plays the guy who he wants an apology from?
Al Pacino.
Oh, that's right.
Is basically the owner of this mortgage company. Yeah. And
he won't apologize.
But he's like, oh my God, it's awful because Al Pacino's just like, I will never apologize to anyone who does, and so there's this vibe of it where you're like, this movie would have ended 5 minutes ago had Al Pacino's very small role, had that character been just a little bit more humbled.
So this also has Coleman Domingo, who I love. Was he well
oh my God.
used? He
was very well used.
So that could get me to see it.
Honestly, he plays a role that I feel is how do I say this? It's like, okay, this film, what it struggled with, very similar to some of the movies we've complained about, where it's like, okay, this is not a full story. This one struggled from too much story. It could have lent a little bit of story to Marty Supreme.
Or even the Slashing Machine.
Yes.
So who would be fans of this movie? Do you recommend it to anybody?
Okay, here is the big challenge on this film is that, one, it's got a good soundtrack. Okay,
cool.
So Gus Van Sant does kind of like that late 70s kind of vibe, but it's got a great soundtrack. It's a period piece, so when I think of the 70s, I'm like, that's not too far back. But then you start to go, wait, that was like 50 years ago. Okay, all right, so this is a period piece. You have really great costumes, great setup, very simple film, very simple ensemble cast, but quite frankly, too much story. And not enough focus on what really makes us as viewers go, okay, I'm on this guy's side. So you kind of lose that. You get too many players on the field, and they're all very compelling. I was not bored during this movie, though, and there were so many wonderful elements that they could have fleshed out. I just think it's overwhelmed. It is based off of a true story as well, so that's why I was like, it could have lent some of its story over to some of the others who clearly were just giving us a lot of action. This one's quieter. It is all taking place in his apartment with no, extreme energy happening behind it. But that slow pace is what gives it its suspense. So I liked it. But would I recommend this to anybody? No. This is listen, no, I'm being serious, guys. No. Like, this is that movie you watch on the plane. Okay? So you got to go from New York and you got to go to LA and you're like, oh man, this is a long flight. I'm not tired. My edible hasn't kicked in. This is the movie throw on.
Got to take it at the right time, because if you take it when boarding, maybe boarding pauses and then you're just waiting to board high. Anyway, next up we've got Ethan Hawke and Kate Hudson and her surprise nomination right after this. Okay, so this next one is one of Richard Linklater's 2 films from 2025. Richard Linklater started in Austin. He's done almost 40 films. Of course, the Before Sunrise and Midnight trilogy. Last year, he put out 2 films, Nouvelle Vague, about the making of Godard's Breathless, and Blue Moon, which is about Lorenz Hart. So 2 big power partners of old Hollywood. Rodgers and Hart, they did about 30 musicals and like over 200 hit singles that were on the radio. And then Hart, whom Ethan Hawke portrays, becomes an alcoholic, becomes unreliable. So Rodgers partners with Hammerstein. So it's Rodgers and Hammerstein. Hammerstein, by the way, mentors a young Stephen Sondheim. So that partnership only gave us 9 or 10 musicals, but they were much bigger than what Rodgers and Hart did. So this is kind of a theater play, Mia, I thought. I honestly think maybe they even should have been on Broadway. It takes place in one bar room at the historic Safdie on 44th Street by the Majestic Theater, where all those great Al Hirschfeld caricatures of celebrities are. And this is Ethan Hawke diminutizing himself down to like 4'10". So he's tiny, and he's looking up at Bobby Cannavale, the bartender, and Andrew Scott plays
the whole time I'm watching
Richard
this movie,
Rodgers.
I kept thinking, how are they doing this?
Isn't it? So it's those, like, for listeners, like, he's...
How are they doing this?
They're using weird thing, and he's tiny on this bar stool. So this is a 2 or 3 hander. It's kind of a tour de force for Ethan Hawke. He is playing Hart, who was an alcoholic. He was gay. He was closeted. He's chasing after a woman played by Margaret Qualley.
He was supposed to be bisexual, because that's his speech in his first 10 minutes.
Yeah, and potentially he was, but he.
But Joey says otherwise.
No, and of course, as a bisexual person, I don't want to push anybody into a category, but
that was his whole speech in the beginning of the film.
No, I know, but I don't know whether at the time that he was living, if people bought that, or if people just thought, because I don't think that he had female partners per se.
Well, that was the joke that the bartender made.
Yeah.
And as he was getting flowers to come in, he keeps making jokes about the dudes who come to my party. And so there's this dynamic where he's, that's the tone of the character. He's so I don't care what other people think.
Yeah.
And let me explain why. I mean, that's the dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
I just told the film. Spoiler alert? Was I supposed to say spoiler alert?
Well, what could we spoil for Blue Moon? I wonder.
That.
Yeah.
That's his tone the whole time.
The title
And
comes from one of Lorenz Hart's and Roger's biggest hits called Blue Moon. Blue Moon, I
Right.
saw you dancing along or standing along.
No, I was into My Funny Valentine. Once
My
he said
Fu-
that,
I mean,
I was
so
like,
he was a
"Aw,
hit maker.
Kyle
I mean,
Barker, where are you?"
He was like the Diane Warren or the who's the guy who produces for Lady Gaga and Justin Bieber. I mean, he was one of those guys who writes these hits, but he was so alcoholic by his late 40s. The film opens, this is not a spoiler, with him like falling down dead in an alley at 48 years old or 52. So, I would say it is a good film if you like old Broadway, if you like New York, if you like some of this music. They have a piano player in the bar, and he's kind of playing this tinkly piano. It is, Mia, probably on the slow side. Would you recommend this one?
Okay, y'all, I'm going to say this, and I know people are going to be mad, but I did feel like Margaret Qualley was literally like dropped in this movie. And here's the thing, she's not a bad actress.
Yeah.
It wasn't her portrayal, it wasn't her performance, but she made it feel like what you're saying. It should have just been on Broadway. It just took it somewhere else. And like I said, for me, that was like the slight off-casting moment for me.
Agreed.
And she's supposed to be playing a 20-year-old Yale student, and even as she was telling stories, I was getting bored, and I was like, listen, he's into her, I'm not. Like, so I was struggling with this movie, but it wasn't a bad movie. I thought the performances are still there. It wasn't a huge set. You're not moving around throughout the film. It's all taking place in this bar and with this party.
Story.
And it works, but it's listen, if you don't see it, nothing's going to happen to you.
For sure. But if you want to participate in the Best Actor race, Ethan Hawke is nominated, and I don't think he'll win. I mean, the DGA, Gold Derby predicted like a 78% chance
Joey's
of Timothée
giving out
Chalamet.
participation awards.
But I mean,
I'm joking.
The case for Ethan Hawke is that it would be a recognition of 4 to 5 decades of filmmaking. He's been a child actor. He's done all types of genres.
I can't think of a bad movie he's done.
Supports
Can you
the
think
industry.
of a bad movie where you're like, Ethan Hawke?
If he's there, Reality Bites, 1991, like we just love him.
Gattaca. I mean, it's like, what about how he just carries all of these before sunrise, after sunset?
He was Hamlet in Blockbuster, To Be or Not to Be in Blockbuster Video.
He just does great work.
I know.
And is this the film I want to see him recognized in? I think this is a different enough film, so if he won, you won't see me shaking my fist going, oh God, that wasn't it. But I will say, if he wins, I wouldn't say go see this movie.
Sure.
I would just be like, I get it. He put the work out. Quite frankly, though, I love that he's nominated. I don't need to see him win. I actually think he has plenty of great films in his future.
He'll get his,
but you know what? We can't promise tomorrow, so
that's right.
I'm just gonna listen. I don't want to die on that one. I'm like, wait, we can't promise tomorrow, but I will say, I'm like, this guy does not do a bad film.
He doesn't. Somebody else who we're always glad to see on screen is the fabulous Kate Hudson. And listeners, the film is Song Sung Blue. It is also based on a real story. It is about a male singer and a female singer, and they both are in tribute bands. And they meet each other, they start performing, they fall in love, and it's their story. And it features the triple threat Hugh Jackman. And in sort of a surprise role, it features Kate Hudson. And a month or two ago, Mia said, I'm going to go see this. And I was like, oh, man, that doesn't look great at all. And then this is what happened. Mia, tell us about Song Sung Blue.
Listen, so why did I go see it? And it was literally like the wrong time, wrong theater, clearly.
Oh, my gosh.
It was full of these, like, elderly people. I swear to God, they thought they were at a concert. They were interacting with the movie.
Hysterical.
They forgot to turn their phones on.
Perfect.
And then they don't even know their own ringtones. So,
Is that you?
So it's like, Ruth, that's you. and then it takes and then you're literally not watching the movie because you're watching how slow they look for the button and they don't press it hard enough.
I turned mine off.
And but it's like they don't turn it off and you're doing this. Is she going to turn it off or is she just silencing that call? But I think for this movie too, there might have been a woman who walked in and wanted my seat and was like, oh, excuse me. My friend and I, we want to sit together, all three of us. And I was like, ma'am, I'm at the Alamo Draft House. I can't just leave my seat. I've got food coming out.
Yep.
Otherwise, it was like that plane ride moment where somebody taps you and it's like, yo, I was annoyed. So anyways, I was in a space. And this movie, though, was still fun, still heartfelt. I mean, Hugh Jackman is very, very lovely in this. As
such a delight.
Kind of ego, this sort of egotistical, what do you call him? He's like the reenactment. It's tribute. I mean, this is the world of Elvis impersonators, yes,
Bob Dylan impersonators,
yes.
And so they're performing at mobile home conferences. This is like dive bars. And it's such a delight. And somebody says... Is this kind of like a lost art? Because I am like, who is going to be doing... I bet it still happens. Are we going to see Lady Gaga impersonators? Are we going to see... For years, there has been a drag queen in Hell's Kitchen. I knew you were going to say that. I was like, his name is Nick Gaga. Drag queens. And if she puts out a single on Thursday, he's performing it on Saturday. So this culture is alive. This lives there, yes. And somebody tells Hugh Jackman's character he should, try Neil Diamond, and he resists at first, and then he does. Then he meets another singer, played by Kate Hudson, who largely does a lot of Patsy Cline songs. And she stands at her keyboard, and she sings, and she wears sequins. She even says in the film, I just want to sing, I just want to perform. And I'm so glad that you had me see this film because it has so much heart. I mean, you guys, Hugh Jackman we have seen do Wolverine, Les Mis. We've seen him on Broadway as the Music Man. He can do anything, we know that. But Kate Hudson was a lot in the rom-com space. I don't know if she's done a lot of serious dramas. We've never seen this from her, don't you think? Okay, I liked her, but I also liked all these little supporting people who showed up. Wonderful you had Jim Belushi show up. And he is just endearing, from start to finish. And then you have Michael Imperioli show up. He's playing the guitar, and you're believing it. Like, we're all believing that they are in this scene somehow. And very much fans. I thought it was really sweet. I mean, the dramatic elements of this film, by the way, I liked the level in which they hit at them because this story could have been dragged out in a way that, screamed, oh, please give her an Oscar. And that's the thing, it's almost like she plays her story, the script, with the right amount of screen time, with the right amount of devotion to, what's going on dramatically. This one was really, really good. It was. Listeners, you might have read that in the middle of this film, it sort of turns. So the real life story is that this man and woman meet and they fall in love and they're married, they're living together. Kate Hudson's character, is involved in a car crash, and there's a story of injury and recovery and identity and love. But it goes back to its happy tone in a fall with such misery, like Die My Love and If I Had Legs I'd Kick You and Hamnet. I mean, it was a sad parenting fall, but this is a nice one to end on. And in other words, the music makes you really believe that these two people fell in love. So by the time you hit the tragedy, very different from the Smashing Machine, you really believe these two people are fighting for but the family and the love that they have for one another. They're not going to go find that anywhere else. That's right. And the Smashing Machine is where I'm kind of like, damn, if they wanted to be a little more honest, they could have scored with just something like this. Yeah, I agree. It's absolutely worth checking out. In fact, honestly, every film that we've talked about today, Marty Supreme, The Secret Agent, No Other Choice, Blue Moon, Song Sung Blue, Sirat, The Smashing Machine, and Dead Man's Wire, they all offer something. There were none that I regret seeing except for Marty Supreme. Okay, so coming up, we've got 3 more episodes in Season 1. Next week, you're going to hear Mia and I talk about the 5 Oscar-nominated film scores, what film scores evolved from, and why they're so important to help telling a film story. The 11th episode will be about Sinners and why we believe it's Best Picture, and then right after the Oscars, we'll come to you with the full debrief of the 98th Annual Academy Awards. So stick around. We've got a lot more great stuff to talk about this season on Do You See What I Mean?